So the human body has a tremendous resilience to stress. Now, stress comes in 3 flavors. Now, of those 3 flavors, there's millions and millions of different little iterations. Stress comes in physical, chemical, and the emotional forms. Now, what we need to realize is you have 2 little organs combined with the brain. These organs are called the adrenal glands. They're about 5 grams, about the size of a walnut. They sit just on top of the kidneys. Now, people talk about adrenal glands and stress and adrenal fatigue, and it's a good concept, but it's not a complete concept. What's really more important would be to talk about something called the hypothalamic-pituitary-adrenal axis. It's a mouthful, so we're going to use HPA for short. The hypothalamus and the pituitary glands are 2 of the glands in your brain. They directly perceive and interact with the stress that you're dealing with. So if it's a novel stress, a big stress, or if it's a constant steady drip of stress that bleeds into your life because of the hectic lives we lead, the hypothalamus and pituitary set in action something called a fight or flight response. It's the adrenal glands that then have to react by releasing certain hormones. Some of these hormones give you a boost when you're under stress, improve your mood, improve your focus. Other of these hormones, specifically we're talking about cortisol, has an effect that's not quite the one people want. When we're under constant stress, people will deal with things like fatigue, depression, pain. You're going to see things like heart palpitations, menstrual cycle irregularities. Unchecked stress can lead to inflammation, hair loss, generally a breakdown of the body. Weight is a big one for a lot of people. When we look at stress, we always want to remember there's multiple factors that play into it. But let's first talk about something called modifiable factors. A modifiable factor is something that you have control over, something that you can do something about. The first modifiable factor is called dysglycemia, imbalances in blood sugar. So an improper diet, a diet where you're eating erratically, something that you need to look into. Second thing, it would be your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is how you're sleeping. Your circadian rhythm, your body runs on rhythms. And so throughout the course of a day, there's a light and there's a dark. If we're altering your circadian rhythm by your work schedule, you have a night shift, or if you're altering that circadian rhythm by the amount of artificial light that you're exposed to through devices or televisions into the nighttime, it can really affect this damage to the HPA axis. Another modifiable factor is inflammation. Inflammation can be caused by hidden infections, food allergies that you're not even aware of. And the last modifiable factor we're going to talk about here is perceived stress. This is a big one, and it's one that people often discount. It's the fact that throughout the course of a week, how many times do you deal with a fight or flight event, something that puts you into stress, something that puts you into fight or flight mode? Getting those under control, handling stress the best you can, setting a sleep time, not a wake-up time, set a sleep time, set a time you shut devices down, handle your blood sugar in your diet, and with that, do things to reduce your inflammatory load can make a big difference. After modifiable factors, the things that you have control over, are things that you can do to protect and actually nourish the adrenal glands. There's a class of nutrients called adaptogens. Adaptogens are any nutritional compound with the ability to increase your body's resistance to stress. Now, there's 4 qualifications to be an adaptogen. An adaptogen number 1 must reduce the damage caused on your physiology by stress. Number 2, an adaptogen must improve your physical and mental energy. It must improve the body's capacity to handle the stress that you're currently going under. The third thing that's going to be is the adaptogen, while it has a stimulating and improving, increasing energy effect on the body, it shouldn't act like a drug. It shouldn't act like caffeine. It shouldn't take away from the body. And the last one should be, it shouldn't cause any harm. It shouldn't perturb or irritate your physiology. It should actually improve your physiologic function while it's in the process of improving energy, improving your resilience to stress.
So how do you know if you have an HPA problem? Well, the first thing we talk about is fatigue. This is fatigue all the time. Second one we see is pain, joint pain, headaches. They don't respond to therapy. You take medications, you're not seeing any change. Third one I talk about, mood. I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I can't fall asleep, I can't stay asleep, my mind is always anxious. Fourth issue is female hormone issues, from PCOS, that's polycystic ovarian syndrome, PMS, infertility, perimenopausal issues, sleep issues. This is I go to bed, but I can't fall asleep. And then I wake up, and then I can't go back to sleep. Sixth and seventh thing, asthma, allergies. These are issues that we see that somebody's just overreactive, their immune system cannot calm down. Eighth thing, this is probably the biggest issue that we see, a thyroid disorder. These mimic HPA axis issues. So the problem is they're under the same control. So if one organ is failing, typically the other one fails as well. Next thing we talk about is hypoglycemia. This is blood sugar issues. This is somebody who sees mood or energy shift around their foods. This is the hangry people. This is the people that they get shaky or irritable around their meal times. These are all linked into the HPA axis. And the last thing we talk about is gut issues. This is constipation, diarrhea, heartburn, all those issues that plague us, also commonly known as a leaky gut. The way you can manage these issues are with supports. There are supports to improve the stress resilience. These are things like adaptogens, and we talk about a product called Adaptoplex and Adrenoplex. These guys work synergistically together to help support healthy energy levels. They also help strengthen the body's ability to deal with stress. Along with that, we see improved mental and physical performance. I also see the way this supports the cortisol levels helps to improve low cortisol and also can help to decrease high cortisol. The key with this is to help maintain a balance between the cortisol and the DHA ratio, which is what helps produce the cortisol long term.